The purpose of this video is to outline the impact that electronic books have on society as compared to traditional books. We will be undertaking an impact assessment on electronic books, which is the digitally transformed product of traditional books.
For a number of centuries now, one of the most popular pastimes of the human race has been books. Books provide a way to gain easy access to a wide array of information, and with over 130 million individual books in existence, there has been no shortage. However, in the past 7 years or so, with the rise of modern technology, a number of people have been transitioning from buying traditional books to buying e-book readers, such as the Amazon Kindle, and reading books electronically instead. Although some people still prefer traditional books due to their ease of use, e-books boast a great number of features that make them appealing. Firstly, e-books are lightweight. If you are traveling on the train and want to take a couple books to read, instead of lugging around 4 300-page books, you can simply carry a thin and slender tablet that contains your entire reading library. Books can also take up a great amount of space at home. For those who have a large number of books, you'll know you have bookshelf after bookshelf filled to the brim with books. With an e-book, you have all your books stored on one device, and it's all backed up online if something were to happen to it. Secondly, e-books are cheaper in the long run. Although the device still comes with an upfront payment, e-books themselves are usually cheaper due to the lack of printing and delivering fees, and some e-books can even be found for free. Thirdly, e-books are instantaneous. When you buy a traditional book, you usually have to wait at least a week or two for the book to arrive. Well, when you buy an e-book, you can download it and start reading immediately. Fourthly, e-books are customizable. Well, with traditional books, you are stuck with the size and font that the author chose. With e-books, you can customize the size of the text, the font, and even the spacing. Lastly, e-books can be used for night reading. Many e-book readers have a backlight that allows you to easily read books at night without the aid of an annoying book light.
The consumer interaction of e-books is as easy as the swipe of a finger, and it comes with handy features and benefits. You can have hundreds of books and store them on your smart device instead of occupying hundreds of bookshelves. You can literally carry all your books in your pocket and have them on hand anytime you wish and avoid back pain. To turn a page, you can just swipe your finger or press the next page button. Read something you like? You can highlight words, phrases, or even whole passages without corrupting the original file, whereas highlighting in a traditional book would be permanent. Can't find a specific passage in the book you're reading? Up with the built-in search function. Those long hours of trying to find that one part where the major plot happens are finally over. E-books are the future. It is only a matter of time until schools and unis digital form of the textbooks, and your child will never have how heavy their backpack is again.
The consumer value of a product is important to understand because it impacts on how successful it will be in the marketplace. Electronic books and traditional books are a prime example, as electronic books are extremely valuable for the consumers compared to traditional books, as they provide multiple features that traditional books don't have. One thing a consumer looks for when comparing is the price of the different products, and electronic books are generally cheaper. Electronic books are cheaper than traditional books because they don't require to be printed, shipped, or delivered, whereas traditional books do. To read the contents of a traditional book, the book needs to be constructed and delivered to the consumer in some way, and this process normally involves an extra cost on top of the book's price. However, to read the contents of an electronic book, it simply revolves around one payment for the book itself and a download. Electronic books come with incredible value. Not only are they cheap, consumers have constant access to their electronic books' contents. Electronic books' contents are accessible by the users 24 hours a day. People in society nowadays would love this as they're extremely dependent upon their electronic devices. Being able to access electronic books 24 hours a day would allow the consumers to be exposed to updates and recently published books. Consumers gain an abundance of value out of transferring to electronic books from traditional books simply because electronic books have amazing features.
An ebook is used by an ebook reading device. These devices include computers, some mobile phones, all smartphones, specific ebook readers, and some others. Some applications, such as Kindle, can stimulate the turning of pages and save your page depending on whether or not you close the application. Smartphones, on the other hand, some of the applications either scroll down or have buttons to change the current page. You would bookmark specific pages and the touch of a button. Ebooks can come in many different formats. These are PDFs where you can use Adobe Reader to read them, HTML documents that you could read on any device with a browser, Mobi Pocket unencrypted for the Kindle devices, eBookWise for the eBookWise devices, EXEs just like other .exe files, DNL for the DNL readers, ePub for the iPad, Sony, Kobo, and many other reading devices. With some ebook readers, you either download it on the device itself. However, you can separately download the ebooks and transfer them over onto the device.
Electronic books are widely accepted in our society because of what they provide the consumer with. Considering many consumers have accepted this technology into their lives, this technology was a success. The reason it became successful in the marketplace can be explained through the technology acceptance model introduced by Fred Davis. To begin with, using the website ebooks.com, it can be seen that the design characteristics of the page are very simple, which would contribute to the consumer's perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use of this technology. As an example, the consumer might not have ease of access to a bookstore, or may not have the storage space to contain traditional books, and having constant access to electronic books eliminates both of these problems. Furthermore, with the consumer knowing this, their behavioral intention to use this product would have inclined as they saw the technology could solve their problems. Therefore, this would lead on to the consumer actually taking advantage of this technology and in the end driving this technology to a success in the marketplace as we see today.
Studies show that 8% of the population is already using e-readers and that 12% intend to buy one within 6 months. With the rising amount of attention that ebooks are receiving, they are starting to have a significant impact on how we view reading today. One of the largest impacts that ebooks appear to have on society is the effect they have on bookstores. Ever since the release of popular e-readers in 2007, a number of extremely large bookstore brands have found it increasingly hard to stay afloat. Stores like Barnes & Noble, Dymocks, Borders, Angus & Robinson, and even smaller independent bookstores have been closing down all across Australia due to financial issues. Much like how Blockbuster dwindled in sales after the rise in popularity of streaming movies, traditional bookstores are finding it hard to stay afloat with the rise in popularity of ebooks. This is a perfect example of the disruptive innovation theory. Joseph Bauer said that one of the most consistent patterns in business is the failure of leading companies to stay at the top of their industries when the technologies or markets change. This is precisely what happened to bookstores. They were at the top of their game until ebooks came along, but instead of trying to innovate to accommodate ebooks into their business model, they invested aggressively to try and retain their existing customer base, and in turn, they failed to serve the needs of the future customers. This was their downfall, as the new customers began to turn to ebooks and other online alternatives, and they themselves were left in the dust. If companies like Barnes & Noble had sensed the change in market beforehand and adjusted their business model to accommodate the change, they may have been able to stay at the top, but instead they found themselves left behind.
Since electronic books were introduced to society and became increasingly popular, there has been a massive impact on the publishing industry. Not only are publishers affected, but also authors who don't submit their work via electronic books. This has become a problem, because society has become increasingly inclined to purchase books online rather than physically. Although the impact seems detrimental to the publishing industry, consumers and authors have been introduced to a new and more efficient channel of distribution. Books have been humanity's source of knowledge for an incredibly extensive period of time, and the introduction of electronic books and digitalized information has become a revolution to be embraced by most. Since the introduction of electronic books, new technology was created in order to host this product. This allowed for more jobs in the IT industry, but at the same time negatively affecting the publishing industry. This is a change that society will have to adapt to as technology is constantly evolving around us and providing us with new features. While publishing a book via print may still seem relevant to society, this new technology has allowed for underground, not so popular authors to extrude their name out into society. This consequently allows the consumers to gain access to more and more books as authors adapt to the new technology. Being able to make use of this technology has allowed consumers anywhere in the world to gain access to books located in prominently varying locations. This will give the author a peace of mind that tells them that their book content will be available to anyone worldwide. In summary, it is understood that electronic books pose extremely valuable features, but when introduced to society there is a rather prominent impact on many parties. The negative bulk of the impacts get handed out to the publishers, while the authors and the consumers bathe in a shower of benefits.